Hi, everybody. We're at ASP, the 33rd version of the Association for Applied Sports Psychology, and the meetings have been just fabulous. We're in Toronto, Canada, and it's been very, very useful. Him here, and I have a guest, and his name is Dr. Vince Ladato. And Vince is a specialist working in baseball, but he's more than that. And so what I'd like you to do, please, Vince, would you tell us about your business and what you're doing and how is it came to be?
Sure, thank you. I've been a consultant, private consultant to several Major League Baseball organizations for 19 years now, and have a private consulting practice, National Sports Performance Institute, where we do a lot of cognitive training with athletes, more than traditional mental skills training. We're looking at cognitive processes. We're using vision training, some of the tools and technology that are out there to enhance cognitive functioning and that visual perceptual information processing loop that's critical in sport. And we've taken sort of the perspective of, in sport, you see with your brain, not just your eyes.
Yeah, that's a huge distinction because there are a lot of people that are doing vision training and they want to tell you that they're going to enhance your information processing and they're going to improve your convergence abilities and there are things like that. But what's really going on is operating at a much deeper level that I think you grasp and a lot of people don't. Can you talk a little bit about how and why that's so important?
For a long time, a lot of folks looked at vision training in sport as improving visual acuity. Can you see better? But what are your eyes really telling your brain? How is it happening? The world is not two-dimensional. It's three-dimensional and it moves at incredibly fast speeds. And in sport, like hitting a baseball, most folks would think that from release point to the point of contact, baseball hitters are tracking that object from the point of release to the point of contact. The middle of that is occluded. They don't really see it in a traditional sense, and the brain makes that decision very early on. One of the classic examples are, elite softball pitchers striking out major league hitters, and the question was always, these guys can't hit, and why is it so hard to hit a softball? They haven't seen it. Their brain hasn't processed that look, so to speak, at that speed and that angle. So what we look at now is, how can we put athletes in situations where they have to, particularly with 3D multi-object tracking, multiple objects at once under stress and pressure for mental endurance, cognitive endurance, information processing, working memory, and additionally, what's the primary motor program of their sport? How do they move? How do they interact in their sport? So some of our training methods that we've developed and used with particularly a system like the NeuroTracker, which is 3D multi-object tracking, it's all moving, 20 trials at 8 seconds each at incredibly fast speeds. Can they track objects? Can they maintain focus, concentration, and basketball players dribbling? We've had NFL players dodging beams in 3D, tracking objects, having to navigate through that, and then identifying their targets after an 8-second trial. One of the interesting things is when they get into incredibly fast speeds, I'll ask the athletes, how'd you do that? And they go, I don't know. They really can't tell you consciously how they did it, so you don't have to know.
The
You're
brain
doing it,
will
you're
process that without even. So there are a couple things that I know that are tools besides the NeuroTracker, and someday we need to do a demonstration of that so that people can see that. But the other element to this that I think is key, some of the images that people might recognize would be a major league pitcher that's throwing the ball and you have maybe just a nanosecond from the time the ball releases and then the screen's gone. And you have to predict whether it's a strike or whether it's a ball or which zone it's going to be landing in. They did another example with Ronaldo doing kicks, taking corner kicks and heading some balls and kicking other balls into the goal with the lights going out the second the ball was kicked from the corner.
Right.
And he had to not only track the ball, find the ball, but then score.
Sure.
So these things are really key.
They're not just key, they're critical for elite performance. Novices see the game, read the game differently. Elite performers do read the game at a different speed, and their decision making is different. That video of Ronaldo, that middle it's occluded. It's not shown. It's in the dark, and he's in the right place with the right placement and his foot in the right spot and put the ball in net. When you look at, again, an elite athlete being able to do that, the question is, how does he get there? And can we train athletes with different systems to do that? You talk about reading a pitch at the point of release. Those systems train biological motion, reading your athlete's cues. Most folks who may not be well versed in hockey or soccer, for a penalty kick, think that, well, the goalie either guesses right or wrong when he dives one way, and the shooter guesses right or wrong based on him. They're reading each other's very subtle clues at incredibly fast amounts of speed because of their experiences. So if we can speed that up by adding soccer players manipulating balls with their feet, again, hockey guys on sliding boards, navigating through gaps, reading gaps in their field of vision, that's how elite players read the game. And that's what this training looks at.
Well, you know what? Thank you so much for spending this time with us.
Thank you.
Giving us a glimpse. We'll get into it in a little bit more detail in a future episode. But for right now, from the Association for Applied Sports Psychology, good to see you all. Thanks for visiting.
Thank you.